All right, so I just passed a not so fun milestone and I have $103,000 now in student loan debt. Most of that is at 8% interest from graduate school, going through 2 years of physical therapy school. And I'm in a situation that's not so unique anymore. I've talked to a lot of my peers, and it's not uncommon to hear numbers in the mid hundreds, approaching the 200s, and even above. And I've even seen a lot of online forums, people graduating from schools like USC or from Columbia, New York, and they're having $300,000 to $400,000 in student loan debt. And I think it's something we need to talk about because at this point, I feel like the student debt to income ratio that we're coming out of school with is not really sustainable anymore, right? Because if you look at the median salary for physical therapists, it's approaching $100,000 now, which is pretty good on paper. But as a new grad, you're not making that money yet usually, right? Like if you're going to like outpatient orthopedics in your standard PT clinic, you're gonna be making around anywhere from 70 to like 80, 85,000 depending on where you live. And if you're coming out with over $150,000 in student loan debt, and with a lot of that at 8% now with the current interest rates, it's just too high. It just doesn't really make sense anymore. So I think we need to have a conversation about this and try to be a little bit smarter with how we're going through school and starting to wonder like, why are these student loans so high? Because this isn't something that's even unique to physical therapy. This is across pretty much every profession, and especially all the medical professions when you're trying to pursue a post bachelor's degree, trying to go into the graduate level, because we're kind of funneled into this route now, right? Like if you just graduate from college with a degree in exercise science or biology or kinesiology, the amount of income you can make is pretty limited, right? Like for me, I did a bachelor's of exercise science. I graduated from Liberty University, and with that route, right, I got my exercise physiologist certification, and you also get your CSCS certification, and that makes decent money. If you're like exercise physiologist, you can make, I don't know, 40, 50,000 a year. Personal training, I don't know, like you can make $20, $25 an hour. It's not bad, but it's not really enough to like support a family or really be a career job, right? A lot of it's, you can go into research if you're in biology, but really it's like, if you want to try to support a family on one income, you can't do it with that kind of job. So most of us are forced to go into a postgraduate degree program, right? So that's going to look like going to become an MD, which is really hard to go that route, which is why I didn't even do it. You can go to physical therapy school, you can become a chiropractor. You have all these other routes you can go post-graduation, but no matter which route you go, it's extremely expensive. Like you're pulling out, minimum $100,000. And most financial advisors say you don't want more than a 1-to-1 debt to income ratio coming out of school, right? And so physical therapy was probably teetering on that brink for a while, but I feel like the wages are not keeping up with the debt we're taking out of school now. So for me personally, right, I came out of college probably with around $40,000 in debt, which is around the average. And then my tuition where I go to school at George Fox is $127,000. So it's a lot. And even just the graduate school loans alone, that's already more than I would make as a new grad PT. So I think the route we have to go as PTs now is we can't just settle for your standard outpatient job. Like it sucks that this is the reality, that we have to take so many loans out, but we don't really have a choice because like I wanted to go down this route. I consciously chose to take these loans out, so I knew what I was getting into. It's frustrating when the only route you can go is to take a ton of loans out, and I tried to keep my loans as low as possible. Like I definitely have had to make some sacrifices to keep my loans even at just around 100,000. Although when I graduate, I'll probably be closer to 115, 120. But there's a lot of people I know that have a lot more than that, and there wasn't really anything they can do. And if this is a career you want to do, like for me, it's worth a sacrifice for now, because I can't see myself doing any other job in healthcare. And a lot of people complain about their loans and they're like, I just need to get them paid off by the government, or have to work for a nonprofit for 10 years and have them paid off. And I just feel like that's not the mindset we can go through anymore, because we chose to take these loans out. We chose to go down this route. But I think we also don't have to sit here and settle for the first job that we're offered at $80,000 at a PT mill, and you get burned out because you're sitting here with all this financial stress in the background that is going to impact how you treat your patients, right? Like for me, me and my wife are having to grapple with tougher questions, like, do we have to delay having kids a few more years? Because we want to have kids. We'd have to go down to have my wife stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom, which is what we want ultimately. Like, we don't want to put our kids through daycare. Like, we would love my wife to stay at home with the kids, but we're kind of in a situation where we're like, well, we're gonna have to delay having kids for a while and probably wait into our 30s, which is something we don't want to do ideally, but we don't have a choice because we need dual incomes for a while to even try to pay back these loans. And then the other questions you have to grapple with as a PT is, do I want to stay in the field that I want to do? Am I forced to pivot to make more money for a while? So I love outpatient orthopedics. That's just where my passion is. I can already tell that from my first clinical. But I know that if I just take the first outpatient job, I'm not going to make enough income to really pay back the loans in a way I want to. So a lot of times you're forced to do other jobs that may not be quite your passion, right? Like, I might have to go into skilled nursing or do home health or work in acute care, go into areas that pay you a bit more, because those are the only ways you're going to be able to make more like $100,000 straight out of grad school as a new grad. And this is the time where you kind of are forced to go that route now, because you're going to have to make at least $100,000 if you want to pay off your loans more efficiently, keep up with the rising cost of living, and also be able to start investing, right? Because being in your late 20s, early 30s, it's not too late to start investing, but if we have to wait until our mid 30s or even 40s to start investing, it'll be a lot harder to build up that compound interest and have our money ready for retirement. And it's just tough when we're kind of in a situation right now where we're saddled with a ton of student loan debt in a time where we actually need to start investing a lot of money into those retirement accounts, right? Because we'll have a lot of time to build compound interest if you start doing that in your 20s. But in our 20s, we're stuck going through college, so you're probably only making minimum wage if you're working during that time. And then in between college and PT school, you're applying, you're going to work either for free or for minimum wage again as a PT aide to get hours for school. And that can take 1 to 2 years. And then you go to school. It's also hard to work a lot while you're in school. Again, you're probably just working little side hustles or whatever you can in the meantime while you're not studying. Then by the time you're out of school, you're like in your late 20s and you have $100,000 or more, right? APTA says the average student loan debt is $148,000. And then you don't have an easy way to pay that back right away. And also at the same time, cover all your living costs, be able to start investing at a high rate to save up for retirement because you want that compound interest to build, and also be able to take care of all your living costs, especially if you're wanting to have a family and support a family on one income. You just can't do that $80,000 anymore, especially in higher cost of living areas like where I live in Oregon. There's no way. I just couldn't do it. So my options are either work 70 hours a week, an outpatient, which probably lead to burnout, or try to find a way to make over 100 without working 70, 80 hours a week. Ideally, keep it under 60. So that's my plan, I think, is probably find a blend of working 410s, an outpatient, and spending 1 or 2 extra days a week doing skilled nursing or some other side hustle. Because I'm trying ideally not to go full skilled nursing or acute care for several years, because I think the thing is, one, I love outpatient orthopedics, and I don't want my skills in that to diminish and not have time to work with mentors to make my passion for PT grow. Because I feel like if I'm in a field that I don't care about and I do that for years just for the financials, I feel like, one, it's hard to go back and take that step down in income wise, and I'm going to miss several years of actually working in outpatient ortho, which is what I want to do. So my skills won't be as good, and I feel like that'll also lead to faster burnout because I'm not doing something I'm passionate about in the field. So it's just tough because I just feel like I'm in this situation where I'm forced to go into a specialty that I don't want to do, but I don't really have a choice financially. So I don't know. And my situation's not unique. Like everyone in my class is wondering this too, right? And I mean, there's so many more PT schools opening up now over the country. So this is something that is going to be more and more of a problem, not just for physical therapists, but for chiropractors, PAs, MDs. It's everyone in the health field, right? Like tuition keeps shooting up and wages aren't keeping up with that. So it's something I want to talk about, and I think a lot of what I'm talking about on this channel is going to be figuring out how to pay back those loans as fast as I can while also still be able to do what I want, which is outpatient ortho. Maybe even doing that through starting my own clinic where I can make more money, but also treat patients the way I want to treat them. I don't want to be so stressed about the financials that I can't even focus on treating patients and feel like I have to be unethical in billing practices and all these things just to make enough money. So anyways, comment below. Tell me how much student loan debt you're in and what your plan is to pay it off. And I'm going to have some future videos talking more specifically about my exact plan to pay it off. So stay tuned and subscribe if you want to hear about that. Thank you.